What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And today I wanted to talk about a big name free agent wide receiver that was recently linked to the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason. And this comes from an article written by athlonsports.com. But this is quoting Aaron Scatz from over at ESPN. Here's the excerpt from the article saying the Chiefs capped off the season with a 17-3 record, but a loss in the Super Bowl puts pressure on Kansas City to revamp their roster and get back to the big game. One of the latest free agency predictions favoring the Chiefs links Houston Texans wide receiver Stefon Diggs to the organization. Aaron Scatz at ESPN predicts the Chiefs to the one-time All-Pro first team and four-time Pro Bowler to sign with the Chiefs before the 2025 NFL season. Now, this is a very interesting link between Stefon Diggs and the Kansas City Chiefs because I think, at least in my mind, the Kansas City Chiefs will probably sign at least one veteran free agent wide receiver this offseason. They may very well address the position in the draft as well, but here's the reality. Rashee Rice is probably going to miss time to start next season, and Xavier Worthy is the other guy that they have under contract that, like, you know what he is, that he's a starting wide receiver. But outside of that, Hollywood Brown's a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent. McCole Hardman's a free agent. I mean, granted, he was injured for most of the year, but, like, you know, most of your wide receivers are free agents. So you're probably going to have to at least sign one veteran wide receiver free agent. Now, I think a lot of people would like to see Hollywood Brown come back on another one-year deal similar to the one that he signed last offseason. But if things don't work out with Hollywood Brown, Stefon Diggs would make a lot of sense as a veteran wide receiver free agent addition because this is a guy that's very good at running routes. He's been known as one of the best route running wide receivers in the NFL for a long time. He's the kind of guy that can still beat man coverage at a high enough rate that would help out this Chiefs offense because even though we've seen great things out of Rashee Rice, you know, when he's been on the field and Xavier Worthy came on strong at the end of the year, the Chiefs still struggle to beat man coverage consistently at the wide receiver position. It's something that they've struggled at really the last few years. And I think when they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, they were hoping that would kind of ease those concerns a little bit. But I think we all saw that DeAndre Hopkins' best days are behind him. He was not beating man coverage often enough to really be a real difference maker. The last 2 months of the season for him were pretty disappointing. So Stefon Diggs would be that kind of guy, you know, in this offense that they haven't had in a long time, maybe really ever had, besides like Tyreek Hill, although Tyreek Hill was a different kind of wide receiver, but a bigger wide receiver in Stefon Diggs that, you know, runs really good routes, beats man coverage, also is somewhat of a go up and get it type of wide receiver, not necessarily a jump ball guy, but someone that is going to stretch the defense vertically and on the boundary as well. Mahomes has never really had a guy like that at the wide receiver position, but Stefon Diggs could certainly be that. And also, even if the Chiefs are to bring back Hollywood Brown again on another cheap free agent contract, I don't think that should stop you from still checking in on Stefon Diggs and just kind of plug up that hole in free agency. So that way, maybe you don't necessarily have to spend a draft pick on wide receiver. You still can if you want to, but if you're trying to make the team as good as possible for next year, you could go ahead and sign two free agent wide receivers and just be done with the position. And then you'll have Diggs, Hollywood, Rice, and Worthy next year, and that would be really solid. Maybe bring back Juju Smith-Schuster as well as like wide receiver 5-6. I think that would work out really well for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't think Stefon Diggs would be all that expensive. I think, you know, he's going to be someone that's probably going to have to sign a cheap one-year deal this offseason. You know, after getting traded to the Houston Texans and getting hurt, he tore his ACL this year, which, you know, is going to bring his market value down a little bit. He's probably going to have to sign a prove-it deal, probably with a contender, I would imagine. And the nice thing about Stefon Diggs is that I think he still has good football left in the tank. Despite the fact that he got injured last year, about halfway through the year. In 8 games, he had just under 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's still very productive. He's still been very productive. Obviously, there will be some questions that need to be answered coming off a torn ACL. And at his age, he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore. He's probably in the twilight of his career, but I think he could help you more than a DeAndre Hopkins, and is probably still a little bit more reliable health-wise than a Hollywood Brown. We know that the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to get explosive again on offense. So this kind of goes against that because Stefon Diggs is a little bit older, not exactly an explosive play wide receiver, but I think, he's the type of veteran wide receiver that would really help out this room. Again, kind of like what you thought you were getting in DeAndre Hopkins, but didn't quite get on the field. I think Stefon Diggs would be that type of move. I think, you could get him for really cheap. He'd come in here, provide you someone that on third down would be a reliable set of hands outside of a Travis Kelce, outside of a Rashee Rice. And I talked about in a recent video when it was announced that Travis Kelce was coming back. Cool, great. Travis Kelce being on this team only helps, but I think you have to start dialing back his snaps at this point in his career. And I think he should not be a focal point in the offense anymore. He's just not at that age, man. You have to add more to this offense to go to, because I think, there's still too many times last year where Patrick Mahomes was locking in on Travis Kelce, and he just has to learn to survive without Travis Kelce. You need other guys so that Mahomes can learn how to navigate life without Travis Kelce, because that day is coming sooner than later. But that's more of a larger point, kind of down the road. Bottom line, I think Stefon Diggs would be a very good addition. I think he would be a very good fit on the Kansas City Chiefs. I would love to see them add Hollywood Brown back, still try to keep, that downfield threat, especially with him and Worthy. I know that because we know what Xavier Worthy is now and what he can be in year 2, some people think Hollywood Brown might be a little bit redundant, and the plan was always for him to kind of be there just for 1 year while Xavier Worthy develops. But hell, why not have 2 speedsters and then have a guy like Rashee Rice that's playing the slot, making tough catches over the middle of the field, and then Stefon Diggs on the outside? I think that would be the perfect, 3-man kind of wide receiver lineup you run out there on most passing downs. And then you can mix in Hollywood Brown, or have Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy kind of rotate in and out, which I think actually would be ideal, because since those guys are smaller and they're both injury risks, injury concerns, then that way you're not exhausting them in the regular season either. Like, give Pat weapons again, man. Give Patrick Mahomes an explosive group of weapons, an explosive wide receiver core like he hasn't had for a few years now, because offense has been this team's kind of issue over the past couple years now. I think they've kind of gutted the skill positions a little bit along the way. And I want to see them get back to scoring 30, 35 points a game consistently. That's what Chiefs football is about in the Patrick Mahomes era. It feels like the Chiefs have gotten away from that in recent years. Go out, spend some money, especially now that we probably know that there's no big free agent left tackle that the Chiefs are going to be spending money on this year. Everyone says, they need a left tackle. There are no free agents that are going to require a big contract. Alaric Jackson is off the board. Ronnie Stanley is probably going back to Baltimore. It's probably going to be DJ Humphries or Cam Robinson or something like that on a 1-year deal. So since that's the case, the best that you can do is try to load up on the other positions in free agency, and then you'll figure out what else you need in the NFL draft. And that's the approach that I think the Kansas City Chiefs should take. But those are my thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs being linked to wide receiver Stefon Diggs. I want to hear from you guys, though, in the comments. Would you like to see the Chiefs bring in Stefon Diggs on a 1-year deal? Would you be a fan of it? Let me know down below. But with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. And last but not least, follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB. That's all I got for you guys in this one. I will see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.